According to many, the secrets of this strange continent hold the key to humanity's past and future. Cold, remote, and inhospitable, with the area the size of the US and half of Canada combined, it is one of the Earth's greatest mysteries. It is the coldest continent on our planet, with an average temperature of -55 Celsius, and is the place with the least rainfall. But its winds reach a speed of 327 kilometers per hour. The first explorers came to the icy continent about 200 years ago in search of whales, and since then, Antarctica has become the world's greatest treasure troves of knowledge, some made public, some of them not. Antarctica is the only continent that does not have a permanent population. At any given time, however, 1,000 to 5,000 people from dozens of countries reside on it. They inhabit stations scattered across the continent and are usually tasked with conducting research in various fields of science. These stations used to be just wooden shacks. Today's bases, however, are proud representatives of peculiar Antarctic architectural style. In this video, we will share with you some of the most shocking events, revelations, incidents, and conspiracy theories on the continent. If you like what we do, you can support us by subscribing to our channel. Underground bases. Satellite images have located two large inlets extending beneath the surface of Antarctica and the sea ice off the coast. Russian scientists set out to investigate them and discovered the remains of what they believe to be a secret Nazi base built in 1942. It's located on the island of Alexandria Land. Researchers found over 500 artifacts such as ammunition, fuel tanks, and documents. This, of course, immediately gives fodder to conspiracy theorists who have claimed for decades that Nazis had secret bases in Antarctica to develop superpowers with alien technology, or that even Adolf Hitler hid there after the war. According to one such theory, the Nazis sent a large team of scientists, soldiers, and construction workers to Antarctica in 1938. The destination was Queen Maud Land, where they were rumored to have discovered a vast network of warm underground rivers and caves. In the largest of them, the Nazis built Base 211, also known as New Berlin. In addition to the scientists working on the mysterious superweapon, there are also mentions of several secret societies having access to these dungeons, including the Freemasons and the Illuminati. Some even claim that the base is still active today, and secret societies are still waiting for the right moment to establish the so-called New World Order. Scott's expedition to the South Pole. British explorer Robert Falcon Scott's team reached the South Pole on January 17, 1912, just 3 weeks after the Norwegian team led by Ronald Amstad had left the site. The British group's spirits were broken when they realized they weren't the first to arrive. Very soon, however, things took on an even more catastrophic appearance. Reaching the pole is a feat and test of human endurance, and Scott was under enormous pressure from the start. Besides battling the challenges of harsh climate and lack of natural resources like firewood, he had a team of more than 60 men to lead. Even more, pressure came from high hopes placed on him by the colleagues back home. They want to do it or die. That's the spirit with they go to Antarctica, declared Leonard Darwin, president of the Royal Geographical Society and son of Charles Darwin, in a speech at the time. Captain Scott will prove once more the manliness of the nation is not dead. Adventures like this certainly raise the self-esteem of the whole nation, he said. Scott himself was not immune to expectations. He had a very human character, says Max Jones, an historian of popular exploration at the University of Manchester. In his diaries, we found that he was plagued by doubts and worries about whether he was up to task, and shows how down-to-earth he was, a man like any other with his faults and weaknesses. Despite concerns and doubts, the do-or-die mindset led the team to risks that now seem foreign or unacceptable to us. On the way back from the pole in February, Edgar Evans passed away first. Next up was Lawrence Oates. He considered himself a burden, thinking the team couldn't go home with him because he weighed them down. "I'm just going out and I might be gone for a while," he says, March 17th. At the time, he most likely didn't realize how close to death the rest of the group was as well. The bodies of Oates and Evans were never found, but Scott's, Edward Wilson's, and Henry Bowser's were found by a rescue party several months after their deaths. They died on 29th of March, 1912, according to the dates of Scott's diary entry. The searchers covered their bodies with snow and left them where they were found. "I don't think human beings ever went through the month we did," Scott wrote in his final pages of his journal. The team knows they're about 18 kilometers from the last cache of life-saving supplies that will save them. But they were confined to a tent for days, pressed by a fierce blizzard. They were willing to risk their lives. You can see it as part of their thought of imperial masculinity about enduring hardships and hostile environment, Jones commented. "I'm not saying they had a death wish, but I think they were ready to die." UFO crash. Since the continent is relatively isolated from anyone who wants to be inconspicuous, this is the perfect place. Valentin Degtyarev claims to have discovered a UFO on the icy continent via Google Earth. The image uploaded there shows what appears to be 4 tanks, and Degtyarev speculates that it's an alien spacecraft that was landed there or was forced down, guarded by 4 tanks. In the photo, what is supposed to be a UFO is just a small figure sticking out of the ice, and conspiracy theorists say it's the shape of a disc about 200 feet across. Operation High Jump. The action takes place in 1947 when about 100 ships from the German Navy, as well as high-ranking representatives of the SS, disappear without a trace. It's not clear if they hid or something else happened to them. However, a conspiracy theory links this to another event that took place the same year in 1947. American Admiral Richard E. Byrd led about 4,000 soldiers and aircraft carriers and submarines, etc., in the operation called High Jump, which essentially aimed to invade Antarctica. After 2 months, the operation was called off, allegedly due to numerous deaths due to inhumane conditions. Still, conspiracy theorists believe that this was just an excuse that the soldiers were well prepared and trained. They claim that the admiral actually encountered strong resistance from the Nazi flying saucers, end quotes. Most controversial was the admiral's statement to a Chilean newspaper in which he warned that the United States must take measures to protect against the possibility of an invasion of the country by enemy aircraft coming from the polar regions. The admiral explained that he doesn't want to scare anyone, but there is a real danger that in the event of another war, the United States will be attacked by planes coming from one or both poles. "I must warn my fellow citizens that the time has come when we could take refuge in our isolation because we felt that we were at a safe distance, protected from danger by the surrounding oceans and geographical distances. The poles are no longer a guarantee of our safety," Byrd said at the time. August 1982. Ambrose Morgan, Kevin Ockleton, and John Cole, 3 men embarked on an expedition to a nearby island in the middle of the Antarctic winter. The sea ice is hard, and they reach Peterman Island easily. The aurora borealis is visible in the sky, usually bright and strong, and just enough to disrupt communications. The team managed to reach the island safely and spent the night in a beach hut. Soon after, however, a major storm completely destroys the sea ice. The group remains stranded, but this does not bother them, as there's enough food in the lodge to last the 3 of them for over a month. Over the next few days, the sea ice fails to solidify as the storm continues. There are no books or newspapers in the lodge, and contact with the outside world is limited to scheduled radio transmissions to the base. 2 weeks soon pass. Transmissions are short as the batteries in their radios are getting low. Team is getting already restless. Penguins appear and circle the hut. They may look cute, but their smell soon drives men crazy. Things are starting to get worse. The group gets diarrhea, as some of the food in the lodge turns out to be much older than they thought. The smell of penguins doesn't make them feel better. They kill and eat several to increase their supplies. The men wait with growing impatience, complaining of boredom on radio transmissions to the base. On Friday, August 13, 1982, they were seen through a telescope waving at the main base. The radio batteries are exhausted. The sea ice has morphed again, giving hope of escape. 2 days later, on Sunday, August 15th, the group did not establish contact with the base at the appointed time. Then comes another big storm. The men at the base climb to a high point where they can see the island. All the sea ice is gone again due to the storm. The 3 men were never seen or found again. These deaths have led to changes in the way people work in Antarctica. As a result, they live and work more safely there today. Although terrible incidents still occur on this hostile continent, many lessons have been learned from earlier tragedies. If you like this video, please share it and subscribe to our channel.